and the longest races, and historically there's the same pigeons in my loft. So, so consequently I don't go in the loft and say, oh, you're a beautiful pigeon and you're going to be a champ. All I do is, well, what are you off? Your parents won a fed place, or your grandparents, and so on and so on. All right, you're off of all of them, you've got the blood, you've got a chance. But having said that, even my really, really good pairs breed 90% rubbish. You know, if I've got a good pair and I get, you know, if I get a really good pair, I leave them together. And if they breed me 6 or 7 fed places in 5 years, I've taken at least 30 to 40 young'uns off them, and only 6 of them are any good. So I don't personally think I've got the ability to say, well, just because it's off the good pair, it's going to be good. It still has to have the ability itself. And when you said, what do I look for, that performance, but also a little bit of constitution. And at the start of the year, I'm sorry if I'm waffling on, but at the start of the year, I go and I keep lots of pigeons, by the way. I fill 300 rings most years. So, you know, lots of pigeons to look at. And when I go in the loft at the start of the year, I look at it and I think, geez, I've got 300 chances. After 2 or 3 tosses, there's 20 that are no good. After 2 or 3 races, there's fucking 50, there's 50 that are no good. By the time we get to 300 mile, half of them have got a chance. By the time I get to 400 mile, I'm down to 50 or 60 that I reckon have got chances. And it's purely a selection process. Sorry for what.
It's all right, mate.
Thank you for that. Is there any questions from the floor in relation to this particular issue? What do you look for in a good pigeon? Has anyone got a question from the floor around that? Yes, Michael?
G'day, my name's Michael, mate. I've only been flying for a couple of years. When you said you breed 300 pigeons and then you lose 20 tosses and races, there are so many factors govern what happens outside. From you breed them in the loft, you chuck them in the truck. What percentage of the factors you go say, okay, they get hawked, they get disorientated, because when they get spooked, one would assume they go the other way, not this way. What factor do you put in that when you're breeding? How many are you going to lose?
You mean percentagely?
Yeah.
What you're going to lose percentagely? And that question's to John Van Beers.
Say you're 300 and you get, say, 20 good ones.
What percentage of your pigeons would you start with each year would you consider to be good? If you start with 300, how many would you expect to be?
All mine are all good.
They're all good, okay. Until you start putting them to the test.
At the end of the year, historically, I do win a lot of federation positions. Nobody will deny that. I probably win more than most, but remembering I start with a lot. So out of those 300, I might get 15 to 20 federation positions, but in a lot of cases, I do get multiple drops. Not always, but for example, the last 500 mile I won wasn't a gut buster. It was only 11 and a half hours. I got 4 together. Now, I consider all 4 of them good. But if I take an average year, like this year wasn't an average year, it was a horrible race season, I reckon I've got maybe 10 or 11 good ones, and the rest are just passengers, if I can put it that way.
What do you
I'm not saying they haven't all got the ability to breed.
Yeah.
Like the 4 pigeons I put in here, this sale, not one of them did I clock. There's not a hope in hell of you getting one of mine that I've clocked, because I want it.
Yeah.
But these are brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not saying they won't breed, but I personally want to breed off the winners myself. I'm not a dealer, I don't sell, I've never had a sale. So all my stock loft is full of pigeons that I have raced and won fed places with. And so consequently, to answer your question, if I get 10 or 15 what I think are good, I'm doing well. My aim every year is to find 8 pair of new stock birds. I've got 50 single pens in my loft at home, and I aim to replace that stock loft every 7 to 8 years maximum, preferably quicker, so that there's not too many old hens in the loft, and the ones that don't breed, even though they're winners, they go out, and this year's winners will go in.
What do you class as a horrible season?
What do you class as a horrible season?
Horrible season, massive losses, unexplained losses. We hardly raced on a Saturday. One day we'd race on a Tuesday, one day we'd race on a Wednesday, then we'd race on a Friday. There was no pattern. It was very hard to have any continuity. You know, I race mine extremely sparingly. Like mine would be lucky to get 5 races a year. Lucky. So consequently, you know, I would have as many as 4 or 5 teams by the time we start racing. Of 50, our team is 50 in my lot, because we can send 50. So, you know, you'd send 50 this week, lose 10, that's okay. But then you wouldn't race for 2 weeks. Well, I'm planning on getting the next 50 away. And then we'd have 2 races on the one day and all that sort of thing. So it wasn't an enjoyable season. Finished off by the rather terrible last weekend. You all know what happened the last weekend.
Is that weather inconsistency though?
Okay, we'll keep moving along. There's some interesting points to come out of that. The emphasis on young stock hands and being mindful of keeping that in your stock loft. And we probably all agree for every 100 pigeons you breed, maybe you're looking at 3%, 3 real good ones from 100. Would that be fair? Yeah? Yeah. What's good? Results.
Well, even the winners don't breed winners.
Exactly. All right. No, that's good. That's excellent. Now, if we can move on to training and your training methods, and if there's anything that you do with point of difference there that might give you an edge competitively. John, would you like to talk about your training methods? Are you a hard trainer, or you take it a bit easy on them?
At the start of the year, I train south, down towards Geelong, for those who know the area. So I'm going the opposite way to our way we race. I do that because I live in the north. I have resident falcons at my place, not that they worry me. They're part of the environment, but if I go north towards Seymour, Shepparton Way, they're going to get knocked around. The last thing you want is your birds to get knocked around when they're only babies. It's stress. It's more the mental stress probably on pigeons rather than the hooks. Look, at the end of the day, falcons can only hit so many pigeons. Probably only one, but it's probably the mental stress that they do. So we go south.